The studio lights of the View blazed brighter than usual that morning, reflecting off the pristine white set and glimmering in the eyes of the live audience, hundreds of people buzzing with anticipation. Word had spread quickly across social media that the legendary Cher was going to appear on the show, and the energy was palpable. Fans arrived hours early, clutching handmade signs, some glittering with rhinestones spelling out, "Cher Forever," and "Queen of Pop and Heart," others with playful slogans that referenced her iconic performances throughout decades. Behind the cameras, the crew scurried in controlled chaos. Stagehands moved props into place, camera operators adjusted angles for optimal shots, and producers whispered urgently into headsets, confirming last-minute cues. There was excitement, yes, but also a quiet undercurrent of tension, a feeling that this interview might not be entirely routine. Cher's publicist had been very clear in advance that the star would only participate under certain terms, and there was a palpable sense that those lines might be tested during the live broadcast. Cher herself was backstage, seated in a tall chair in the makeup area, her reflection in the mirror framed by rings of soft studio lights. She looked effortlessly poised, her long black hair cascading like liquid silk over her shoulders, dark sunglasses perched slightly askew for dramatic effect, a subtle reminder that this was Cher, larger than life, commanding attention even while seated quietly. Her stylist fussed over the hem of her flowing jacket while the makeup artist applied the final touches to accentuate her sharp cheekbones. Cher's calm exterior betrayed nothing of the whirlwind of thoughts racing in her mind. She had endured countless interviews, navigated media traps, and survived volatile on-air moments before, but something about today felt different. Perhaps it was the live audience, perhaps it was Jimmy Kimmel's reputation for mischief, perhaps it was the knowledge that every word, every inflection, every gesture would be immediately dissected across the internet and social media platforms. Cher took a slow, deliberate breath, tapping her fingers lightly against the table as if signaling to herself to stay composed. Her eyes, though hidden behind glasses, reflected a steely determination that whatever happened today, she would command the narrative on her own terms. Meanwhile, Jimmy Kimmel was in his element, sitting behind the familiar late-night desk, papers neatly stacked but barely glanced at as he riffed with the band and greeted the live audience. He opened the show with his usual monologue, jokes about Hollywood mishaps, celebrity scandals, and subtle jabs at political figures. The crowd roared in approval, unaware that backstage, Cher's team had been quietly expressing concerns about some of the scripted questions. As the band struck up the opening notes of Cher's iconic intro, a wave of fog rolled onto the stage, creating an almost surreal, ethereal glow. The audience erupted in applause, and Cher emerged from behind the curtains with her signature confident stride, black boots clicking against the polished floor, her eyes hidden behind reflective lenses, and her presence immediately consuming the room. Jimmy rose, offering the customary handshake and wide smile, but even in his practiced warmth, there was a subtle tension. This was a guest who demanded not just respect, but precise control of her environment. From the very first moments on camera, Cher's charisma was undeniable. She waved to the audience, blew playful kisses, and settled into the guest chair with a fluid elegance that seemed almost effortless. The first questions, about her new music and upcoming projects, were routine, and Cher responded with a mixture of wit and warmth, throwing in a few jokes that drew the audience into laughter. But beneath the sparkling surface of the conversation, there was a brewing storm. Jimmy, ever the skilled provocateur, was already pivoting toward more sensitive territory. The camera captured the almost imperceptible tightening of Cher's jaw, the subtle narrowing of her eyes behind the shades, signals that the conversation was about to tread into uncharted waters. When Jimmy casually remarked on the buzz about celebrity activism and responsibility, Cher's initial smile flickered. She leaned back slightly in her chair, crossing her legs deliberately, as if putting a measured distance between herself and the question. Her voice, when she finally spoke, was calm but pointed. "Well, you know, Jimmy, I've been speaking out for decades. People are entitled to opinions, but facts matter more than chatter." The audience, sensing a shift in tone, responded with polite applause, but the air in the studio thickened. Jimmy, sensing an opportunity for a viral moment, pressed further, gently nudging toward a controversial topic that Cher's team had previously warned against, a rumored backstage confrontation that had allegedly occurred during rehearsals for her recent concert special. Cher's eyes, even behind the dark lenses, flashed with recognition of the subject. The moment became electric when Jimmy phrased it. "So, Cher, there are some stories floating around about a clash on set. Can you tell us what really happened?" The studio held its collective breath. Cher's voice, calm yet icy, responded, "Stories are stories. Facts are facts. Let's stick to what actually happened." Jimmy, unflinching, leaned in with a slight smile that suggested he was more amused than cautious. Cher's expression, now clearly measured and controlled, held the room captive. Every word she spoke carried weight, every pause deliberate, a subtle assertion that she was not a guest to be trifled with, even in the playful atmosphere of live daytime television. The audience murmured audibly, sensing the growing tension and the potential for confrontation. By this point, even the producers backstage were on alert. The cameras captured Cher's subtle movements, a hand brushing her hair back, a slight shift forward in her seat, a tightening of her gloved fingers on her lap, all signals that the situation was teetering on the edge. Jimmy tried to lighten the moment, tossing in a joke about celebrity gossip and how everyone loves a little drama, but Cher's eyes, though hidden, told a different story. She was preparing herself to take control, to dictate the boundaries of the discussion in a way that was uniquely hers. As the conversation edged closer to the rumored clash, the tension became almost palpable. The live audience was caught between excitement and apprehension, unsure whether they were about to witness a playful sparring of wits or a legendary on-air confrontation. Cher, in a masterclass of stage presence, exuded calm authority, letting Jimmy speak but never yielding the narrative. The subtle interplay of anticipation, audience energy, and star power created a dramatic tension that seemed to pulse through the entire studio, signaling that the moment they were all waiting for, the explosive, unforgettable live clash, was about to occur.